Every day, thousands of people speak to themselves in ways they would never speak to a friend. They replay mistakes, criticize their appearance, blame themselves for the past, and carry guilt for things they cannot change. But according to Buddhist wisdom, this habit creates unnecessary suffering. The Buddha taught that compassion is not only something we offer others, it is something we must offer ourselves. Today, I want to share a powerful Buddhist lesson that can help you become kinder to yourself and find more peace in your daily life. Self-criticism is a universal experience, a shadow that often follows us, whispering doubts and judgments. It can manifest as a constant feeling of inadequacy, a relentless pursuit of perfection, or a deep-seated belief that we are fundamentally flawed. This internal struggle isn't just uncomfortable, it can be debilitating, impacting our relationships, our work, and our overall well-being. We often believe that this critical voice motivates us, pushing us to do better. But more often than not, it simply drains our energy and diminishes our joy. Buddhist teachings offer a radically different approach, not by fighting self-criticism, but by understanding its roots and transforming our relationship with ourselves. It's a path of profound kindness, clarity, and wisdom. Let's begin by understanding the Buddhist concept of suffering, or dukkha. When we hear the word suffering, we often think of extreme physical pain or tragic loss. But in Buddhism, dukkha is a much broader concept. It encompasses not just obvious pain, but also dissatisfaction, unease, stress, and the subtle discomfort that arises from things not being exactly as we want them to be. Self-criticism, in its essence, is a form of dukkha. It's the mental anguish we inflict upon ourselves, the internal struggle against our perceived imperfections. We suffer not just from our mistakes, but from our judgment of those mistakes. This suffering isn't an external force. It's often a product of our own minds. Recognizing self-criticism as a form of suffering is the first step towards seeking liberation from it. It allows us to approach our inner critic not with anger or frustration, but with a desire to alleviate pain, both for ourselves and for others. This brings us to a crucial concept: attachment, or upadana. Much of our suffering, including self-criticism, stems from attachment. We become attached to ideas of who we should be, how we should perform, what our lives should look like. We attach to a perfect self-image, a flawless past, or an ideal future. When reality inevitably falls short of these rigid expectations, our inner critic springs into action, condemning us for not measuring up. We might be attached to the idea of being intelligent, successful, kind, or always right. When we make a mistake or fall short of these ideals, the attachment creates a gap between our expectation and reality, and self-criticism rushes in to fill that gap with judgment. It's the clinging to these fixed notions of self and outcome that fuels the fire of self-condemnation. The Buddha's path invites us to gently loosen these attachments, to hold our ideals more lightly, and to embrace the messy, imperfect reality of being human. One of the most liberating insights from Buddhist wisdom is the principle of impermanence, or anicca. Everything in existence is constantly changing. Our bodies, our thoughts, our emotions, our circumstances, even our very sense of self, all are in a continuous state of flux. Nothing is fixed. Nothing is permanent. This profound truth directly challenges the foundation of self-criticism. When we criticize ourselves, we often do so based on a perceived fixed flaw or a past mistake that we believe defines us. But if everything is impermanent, then our mistakes are impermanent. Our perceived flaws are impermanent. The person we were 5 minutes ago is not entirely the person we are now. This doesn't mean we ignore our actions or responsibilities, but it means we don't get stuck in a rigid, unchanging narrative of "I am a failure" or "I am unworthy." Impermanence reminds us that growth is always possible, that change is the only constant, and that every moment offers a fresh opportunity to begin anew, free from the heavy burden of a fixed, flawed identity. It allows us to see our self-critical thoughts as just another fleeting mental phenomenon, not an eternal truth about who we are. So, how do we begin to apply these insights? This is where mindfulness, or sati, becomes our most powerful tool. Mindfulness is the practice of paying attention, on purpose, to the present moment, without judgment. When self-criticism arises, our usual reaction is to either get swept away by it, believing every word, or to fight against it, trying to push it away. Both approaches often strengthen the critic's hold. Mindfulness offers a third way: simply observing. Imagine your self-critical thoughts as clouds passing in the sky. You don't have to chase them, nor do you have to try and make them disappear. You simply notice them. Ah, there's that thought again. You're not good enough. By observing these thoughts with a gentle, non-judgmental awareness, we create a crucial space between ourselves and the critical voice. We realize, I am not my thoughts. This space is where freedom begins. It allows us to see that these thoughts are not facts, but simply mental events, often habitual patterns that arise and pass away. Through mindfulness, we learn to de-identify from the critic, weakening its power and preventing it from defining our entire experience. It's a practice of gentle curiosity, bringing awareness to the internal landscape without getting entangled in its dramas. Once we've created this space through mindfulness, we can then introduce the transformative power of self-compassion. This is perhaps the most direct antidote to self-criticism. Self-compassion isn't self-pity or self-indulgence. It's about treating ourselves with the same kindness, understanding, and care that we would offer to a dear friend who is struggling. Think about it. If a friend came to you sharing their mistakes, their insecurities, their feelings of inadequacy, would you berate them? Would you tell them they're a failure? Of course not. You would offer warmth, empathy, and reassurance. Self-compassion is simply extending that same warmth and understanding to ourselves. In Buddhist terms, self-compassion is a form of karuna, compassion, and metta, loving kindness, directed inwards. When the self-critical voice arises, instead of engaging with it or pushing it away, we can pause and ask ourselves, what do I need right now? Often, the answer is kindness, understanding, and acceptance. This might involve placing a hand over your heart, offering yourself a gentle phrase like, "May I be kind to myself," or "May I accept myself just as I am." It's about acknowledging your pain, recognizing that imperfection is part of the shared human experience, and responding to your own suffering with tenderness rather than harsh judgment. This practice gradually rewires our internal landscape, replacing the habit of self-criticism with a habit of self-nurturing. It's a radical act of self-care that builds resilience and inner strength. Building on self-compassion, we expand our practice to loving kindness, or metta. Metta is a boundless, unconditional friendliness and goodwill towards all beings, including ourselves. The traditional metta meditation practice often begins by cultivating loving kindness towards oneself. May I be safe. May I be happy. May I be healthy. May I live with ease. Once this feeling is established, it is then extended to loved ones, then to neutral people, then to difficult people, and finally to all beings everywhere. How does this help with self-criticism? When we cultivate loving kindness, we are actively dissolving the boundaries that separate us from others and from our own inherent worth. Self-criticism thrives in isolation, in the belief that I am uniquely flawed, but metta reminds us of our interconnectedness and our shared humanity. When we extend kindness to others, we naturally soften our hearts. This softening inevitably extends to ourselves. The more we practice wishing well for others, the more difficult it becomes to harbor harshness towards ourselves. It creates a virtuous cycle where compassion for others reinforces compassion for self, and vice versa. It's a powerful practice that transforms our entire outlook, replacing judgment with acceptance and isolation with connection. So, how do we put all of this into practice in our daily lives? It's a journey, not a destination, and it requires consistent, gentle effort. First, start with mindfulness. Whenever you notice self-critical thoughts arising, pause. Don't immediately believe them or fight them. Just notice them. There's a thought that I'm not smart enough. Observe it like a cloud. Where do you feel it in your body? What's the tone of the voice? Simply acknowledge its presence without judgment. This creates the space. Second, practice self-compassion. Once you've noticed the critical thought, bring a gentle, kind awareness to yourself. You might place a hand on your heart, take a deep breath, and offer yourself a phrase of kindness. This is a moment of suffering. May I be kind to myself in this moment. Or, it's okay to feel this way. I'm doing my best. Treat yourself as you would a dear friend. Third, embrace impermanence. When a mistake happens, or you feel a wave of self-criticism, remind yourself that this moment, this feeling, this perceived flaw is not permanent. It will pass. You are not defined by a single moment or a single perceived failure. Every moment is a new opportunity to choose kindness and growth. Fourth, cultivate loving kindness. Dedicate a few minutes each day to a metta meditation. Start with yourself, then extend it outwards. May I be free from suffering. May I be happy. May all beings be free from suffering. May all beings be happy. This practice will gradually soften your heart and dissolve the harshness of self-criticism. Remember, this isn't about becoming perfect or never having a critical thought again. It's about changing your relationship with self-criticism. It's about responding to your inner struggles with wisdom and kindness, rather than adding more suffering. It's about recognizing your inherent worth, not as something to be earned, but as something that simply is. The Buddha's secret to ending self-criticism isn't a magic spell. It's a profound shift in perspective and a consistent practice of self-awareness and self-kindness. By understanding suffering, letting go of attachment, embracing impermanence, practicing mindfulness, and cultivating self-compassion and loving kindness, you can gradually dismantle the power of your inner critic and build a foundation of genuine peace and acceptance within yourself. This journey is one of liberation, allowing you to live more fully, more authentically, and with a heart open to yourself and the world. Thank you for joining me on this exploration of ancient wisdom for modern challenges. I truly hope these insights bring you comfort and empower you on your path to greater self-acceptance. If this message resonated with you, please consider following for more content that supports your well-being and inner growth. Your journey towards a kinder, more compassionate self is a gift to yourself and to the world.